Well, good evening and welcome to Tiger Talk on to Hull and Back podcast and on Humber Wave Radio. Good to have you tuned in this week. Thanks very much to my guests as always. Good evening to you, James.
Good evening to you, Adey. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Good evening to you, Chris.
Good evening and Merry Christmas all.
Merry Christmas. And good evening to you, Paul.
Good evening, Merry Christmas to everybody.
There we go. Merry Christmas to everybody that's watching. We are, if you're watching it now, you're watching it on Christmas Eve. We are doing some things. Well, me and Meow Man are. I don't know what James and Chris are doing, but we're definitely doing some things on this Christmas Eve. So we couldn't do it live, but we're doing a pre-record, because we don't want to miss it and want you to be able to listen. And hopefully we'll say things that you like and some things that you don't like. And then you'll be able to shout at us next time that we're on live and things like that. That's what we're looking to do. Just need to tell you that we are in association with a Car Must Go.
Looking to buy or sell your next car or van? At thecarmustgo.co.uk, we make it easy. We are proud to be your trusted local Hull business with 5-star Google reviews from happy customers across East Yorkshire. We buy and sell quality cars and vans, all with a full mechanical check, MOT and warranty included. So call in and see us today at Rugby Street in Hull, or visit us online at thecarmustgo.co.uk. We buy, we sell cars and vans.
Yeah, so if you are looking to buy or sell a car or van, then get on to thecarmustgo.co.uk and I'm sure they'll be able to help you out. Local company as well. Thanks very much for them to sponsoring this show. And we'll all be sort of happy Tigers fans at the moment, won't we, James?
Reckon so. 4th of Christmas. I mean, who's complaining, really?
Yeah, I'm not complaining. Are you complaining, Chris?
Absolutely not.
What about you, Paul?
Oh no, I'd have taken that without a doubt. I'd have taken it at the beginning of the season, 4th at Christmas. I didn't think that was ever going to happen, but no, I'm very happy.
We seem to be getting, I'll come to you with this to start off with, James. We seem to be getting a bit of flack from people. I've noticed a lot of social media flack saying we should be beating teams like Hull in the top 4. I even saw teams like QPR getting a bit of hit as well on social media. What do they mean by teams like us, James?
Well, it's teams like Hull City, teams like Preston North End, teams like QPR. We're all getting thrown under the bus, aren't we? I don't know what that's all about. I mean, we're maybe not one of the biggest clubs in the Championship, but we are where we are on merit. And, teams like West Brom, they're having an off season. All their fans can really do is complain, can't they? I mean, they're just jealous of us where they are in the table because we're doing so well. We're absolutely flying and... your club size in the Championship is completely irrelevant. All that matters is the league table.
It is all that matters is the league table. It's a funny old league is the Championship, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And just on the back of James's comments, I think, the way we finished last season or the way all of last season went, I think that's where some of it's coming from. But it just goes to show that they're still kind of doing it a little bit under the radar. People have still got that sort of... or we've got some kind of identity outside of our own little club and people still see us as a smaller club and, should be beating us. But that's how we'll have it. I think that's how the manager would like it, sort of the underdog going in there and playing our game, ruffling a few feathers along the way and, like I say, sitting pretty fourth on the 24th of December.
Bit unlucky, West Brom not to get a goal in the first half of the game on Saturday, Paul, weren't they?
Yeah, to be fair, it's happened a few times, hasn't it? The other team we didn't start too bad, but after about 5 minutes, they got on top. And to be fair, if they'd have gone 2-0 up at half time, you couldn't really complain. I mean, Howie's managed to put that over the bar from, 3 or 4 yards?
Yeah.
If you'd have asked him to do
it was easier to score, wasn't it?
Oh, it was a terrible miss, an absolute terrible miss. But it's not our fault. They missed the chances. If they've got a chance of missing, it's like a few matches we've been second in the first half. Probably should have been 2 or 3 down. If they don't take the chances, that ain't our fault. It's their own fault. And if they think they're big clubs and they should be doing this, well, they want to be looking at their own team. I think it's a bit bad towards our players because we have got some, good players. And, I know that one or two's out. Lundstrom is a good player. Geldart's a good player. McBurney, the 2 wingers. So it's a bit horrible to say that we should be, they should be beating us we haven't got that bad a team. We haven't had the strongest team out, I don't think, this season. But I don't think it's a bit bad to say that they should be beating us and we shouldn't be up there. It's up to them to score the goals. If they don't score them and we do, unlucky. Last year it was the other way around. We couldn't hit the back of the net and other teams couldn't. So we struggled last year. But I think we've got a lot better team this year. Sergey's doing really well. I thought he was a bit off on Saturday, to be fair. I think he was trying to get Joseph in the team and McBurney. I think he should have put McBurney on the bench again and give Joseph a run out. I felt Joseph first half. Well, he was only on first half. He just looked lost in the game. I don't think he knew where to be. I think couple of weeks before, he'd known he was centre forward. He's played well. I have nothing against Matt Bainey playing, but I think he should have started with Joseph, put Matt Bainey off the bench because we needed the third one in midfield, and that's what caused a lot of the problems. I felt that we didn't have three players in midfield, and the problems are going to amount even more for us because once you get Geldart back and Lundstrom and Matazo, if he keeps the rest fit, he's going to have a right job picking a team, I think. But, that's good. Obviously, we want these players back so that we can maybe, as I said last week, maybe push into that top six somehow and stay there. So I'm hoping they all get back fit by the end of January and we can push on from there and, maybe make the top six. But I think it's a bit bad when supporters, probably not the teams, I'm saying we shouldn't be there and other teams shouldn't be there. If they beat you, they beat you. You've got to beat them. That's my opinion.
West Brom only scored 25 goals this season. Hull City have scored 37 goals this season. So a good return of goal scoring for Hull City. Not so good for West Bromwich Albion. And that's obviously the reason that they're at the moment in 16th and we're in 4th position. Although, we have conceded a few goals. We're finally in a plus... plus goals, we're in +2 at the moment, which is nice to see. And when I looked at the league table coming out the MKM Stadium on Saturday and saw that it was 4th for Christmas, it really made me happy. I wasn't massively happy with the game. I think second half was a lot better than first half. As you said, Paul, we needed that extra man in midfield, and I think the extra man in midfield changed it, and we was the dominant side in the second half of the game. We're unlucky not to score a couple of times ourselves, really, and some days you get that, don't you, where you struggle in front of goal, and I think it was one of them. Ollie McBurney probably was on longer than the manager had wanted him to be on for, but apparently Carl Joseph picked up a little bit of a knock in the first half, and I think that's why Ollie McBurney continued instead of Carl Joseph coming back out. So I can understand that. And it gives Ollie McBurney some minutes and hopefully gets him ready for this Christmas period, which is obviously a very busy time of year. And they're going to need the full squad. And I've listened to Sergey's interview from yesterday because our very old Joe, he went down there and he went to the interviews yesterday, listened to Sergey's and Liam Miller's yesterday, both good interviews. And obviously hearing things like Casey Palmer is back training with the team, although Lundstrom probably isn't going to make the Boxing Day game. They want to give him just a little bit longer. Is it good to see Casey Palmer back, Chris?
I think any player in the squad having them fully fit and being able to contribute, whether that's off the bench or starting, or even just pushing, other people in that position at training and keeping it competitive. So I never think it's a bad thing. There'll be skeptics out there that think he's one of the ones that's probably going to go in January. And again, they're not going to get rid of him if that is the case, if he's injured. So having him fit, whichever way you look at it, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely having him fit is a good thing, whether it's going in January or playing for us and having an extra body in the midfield, because obviously we are still a little bit light in the midfield. Obviously, with Lundstrom's injury carrying on, I think they're being a bit more cautious with Lundstrom at the moment because Ollie McBurney obviously tried to force his way back listening to his interview, and it didn't work for him and it ended up making him on the sidelines for a bit longer. So they're doing the right thing by keeping Lundstrom back a bit longer, James.
Yeah, we don't want... I mean, obviously, it's a calf injury again, isn't it? So we don't want him re-tearing it like what Ollie did, like you say. On Casey Palmer, I do think whether or not he comes back with a point to prove, comes back in the team and wants to make an impact, I'm happy for him to do that. or even if the plan is to sell him in January, I think he's got to be at least playing and in the team for someone to want to come in and have a look at him. So I think either way you swing it, it's a benefit for him to be back in the squad at the end of the day.
And either way on that comment, James, is you're going to get good effort out of him, because if he wants to prove himself, you're going to get a good effort. If he wants to go, you're going to get good effort, aren't you?
Yeah, potential suitors are going to be looking at his performances, aren't they? And that's going to obviously help us with his value and also with his potential move as well. So I don't know what the future holds for Casey, but it's a shame that it hasn't worked out for him, because obviously you can tell from his high points, his moments of quality is there, but we've just never seen that consistent run of form from him, and it's just been a bit disappointing, his transfer, really. I thought he had his best games for us last year. I mean, there's only really one performance I could pick out this year where I thought he had a good game. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Lundstram being back in the team when he is finally fully fit. But as you say, we've got to be careful with these players, and there's a lot of games coming up in close proximity to each other. So we're going to need to be reserving our squad's minutes and rotating the players as and when we need to, especially with the players that are coming back from injury. So hopefully we can manage it over the next 4 or 5 games.
Paul said, Chris, that he's going to have a headache, is Sergey, if we get all these players back fit. Is it a good headache to have?
Absolutely. Like we've just commented on, there's a lot of games coming thick and fast. I think it's 4 games in, is it 10 days that we play?
It is, yeah.
And like James just said, they are probably still conscious of the minutes. McBurney, Liam Miller, Balumi are getting. And then obviously when Lundstram comes back, they're going to want to manage his minutes. So I imagine it'll be the same as they was doing McBurney, starting off with maybe 15, 20 minutes off the bench and slowly building. So having that squad fit gives the manager that opportunity to do that. But also, again, we've just touched on having them competing at training and fighting for places. That in turn pushes the performance on the pitch. So when we're chasing them 3 points every Saturday, Tuesday, it's having that fit squad. And once players have got the shirt, they're fighting to keep it. So hopefully having that, the headache is the headache of who to pick, but hopefully that translates into success. And he did say, didn't he, right at the start of the season, with a fully fit squad, he would rotate because of the demands of the Championship. Most of the year you're playing 2 games a week. So, it is a good headache to have, and it just gives them that option, to roll the dice a bit, try different things, rest players, and potentially save fatigue and injury as well.
9 days until the transfer window opens, Paul. David Akintola's been rumoured to be going to leave the club. The club is saying, on social media, this is so. The club haven't said it, but on social media, there's sources saying the club has said that they're going to cash in on David Akintola in the January transfer window. Is that a bit unfair with him because he's not had that many minutes up to now, Paul?
Yeah, I think it is a little bit. I mean, I don't know how good a player he is because he hasn't really had a chance to show it. In glimpses, he's looked okay, but he's hardly played that many minutes for us. Hardly started. It is hard. I mean, you just feel sorry for the kid, really. I mean, he's obviously low down the pecking order. Like a few, we've got Miller and Balumi there. They're 2 wingers who obviously are going to take a lot of shifting if they're fit. And he's I don't know. I think Endala's another one I might maybe be looking at getting rid of because I don't see him going to get him many minutes because Joseph can play out wide, can't he? So he could fill in if we needed to, and if we need some people in other places, especially with the tightness of the budget and everything, is it worth getting rid of Endala as well? If you're getting rid of Akintola, I mean, I don't mind either of them. Neither of them's had major chances to say they're good or bad players realistically, so you're taking a risk either way. But if we need players in other positions and we're struggling with this financial fair play thing, whatever it is, we may be best getting rid of both of them, I think. And because I say Joseph can play wide, he's obviously played Geld out wide, so they would get away with it if there was the odd injury to Miller or Balumi. But I don't know. I always feel sorry for players when they haven't had the chance and they're still going to get rid of them because you don't know how good or bad they are realistically. If he'd have had 6 or 7 games on the trot, that'd be different. But I don't think he's had 6 or 7 games in total. So it's a shame for him. But if there's something to be made out of it, fair enough. Obviously, the manager sees something different, maybe, and wants somebody else. I don't know.
I thought it was just starting to come into his own a little bit, to be honest. I thought it was starting to improve a little bit. But, it might just be me. I just don't think he's had that many minutes. And so, I was a little bit like, why? But I don't know. What do you think, Chris?
It sounds a bit harsh, but if there's a chance to shift him on, I would potentially do it. So if you're saying about taking his chance, Paul, he's had Mo Baloumi injured for 80% of this first half of the season. He's had his chance to stake his claim. He's been fit, but the manager opted to play Geldart on the right and play Crooks or other people in the 10. And there's obviously a reason for that. So we're basing it on glimpses, what we've seen when he's come on the pitch. The manager obviously sees him day to day at the training ground, and he's picking that team for what he thinks is the right reasons. So I think he's had a chance to prove himself. I personally,
he did say when he came. He did say when he came, he said he wasn't up to fitness. So he's obviously needed time to get up to that fitness. And as Adrian said, last 2 or 3 times we've seen him, he has looked a little bit, more on it. So it could have easily been the fitness thing, rather than he wasn't up to it.
No, I disagree. I think because he's one of the few. He had a pre-season, granted not with us, with his previous club. Other than opposite to you, Adey, I think when he first came, he seemed to have a bit of confidence about him. He was trying to attack the fullback, doing some little tricks. And as it's gone on, I think maybe his lack of minutes has made his confidence drop. And I don't think we've seen the Akintola in recent games that we did earlier in the season, trying to get the fullback. So it's one of them, isn't it? The club have got to make a decision. We can argue it till the blue in our face. Maybe the player wants to go if there is any truth in it, if he's not happy with the minutes. But yeah, I just think, like I say, he's had an opportunity when people in that pecking order above him have been injured to stake a claim, and he's not grasped it. So if he does go, like I say, I don't necessarily think it's fair, because I think he signed a 2-year contract. He's been here for half a season, and he probably came in knowing it was going to be a rotational part. He's never going to be starting on the wing if Baloumi is fit. But yeah, I think there's also a bit of lost in translation with the tweets that I've seen. Because obviously I think they're in Turkish, and when you translate it, I've seen 2 posts and they translate slightly different. So maybe they're looking at potentially giving the option to go on loan rather than selling us. I don't know, but it's just a slightly different view on that one, Paul.
All about opinions is football, James, isn't it?
Of course it is. The beautiful thing about it is how we can all disagree with each other and just have a conversation as normal, And I'd seen Mike White clarify on Twitter that a few of the reports that we were seeing coming out of Turkey was kind of insinuating that the club was terminating his contract. It seems like he's clarified that, by the sounds of it, as we've mentioned, if someone comes in for Dave, it's going to be a case of most likely he will leave. For me personally, I just think the Championship's a really tough division, and we've seen it before with the quality coming in from Turkey, that a lot of them just, either they've not had enough time to really get up to the pace of the division, and you can say that maybe about Amir, but I think he has started to come a bit more into his own the past few games we've seen him. Obviously, we had some success with Tufan, but I just don't think Akintola is up to the level from what we've seen of him. And based on the videos I've seen of him, I'm sure he's an absolutely lovely bloke to have around the dressing room. He seems like a really cheery bloke, and I imagine that's good for squad morale. But at the end of the day, the guy's here to play football. He's not here to be, the class clown in the dressing room. So if we need to send him out and get someone that's going to be a bit more of a quality backup, maybe someone a bit more. I mean, when he came in, I thought he was going to be an experienced player at his age. I mean, he's at quite an advanced stage for a footballer at 29. But there's times when I've seen him play where it looks like he hasn't been kicking a ball around for even a year yet. So, I mean, it's, as you say, everyone's going to have a different opinion of it. But at the end of the day, I think if the club has identified a target which is going to be a better backup for Baloumi, someone that's maybe been around the English leagues, maybe knows a few more of the old tricks of the division, I'm quite happy for him to go out and for us to shake our hands and part ways, because I wouldn't say he's necessarily been the worst player we've ever had, but I can't say he's made much of an impact while he has been here from what we've seen of him.
difficult because you never know what you're going to get either when you bring somebody else in, because obviously, you're bringing somebody else in and you might be bringing another David Akintola in. Are you best off just keeping David Akintola or bringing another one in that you think's, going to do it for you? It's always a difficult decision, Paul, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And obviously, whoever comes in is going to be second fiddle, if maybe even third fiddle, a bit like he has. Because there's other players who can play in them positions out wide, i.e. Geldat, Joseph, we've still got Ndala. So there could be third choice. So to get somebody in as third choice, I don't know if you get a really experienced player at third choice, to be quite honest, which there could well be. I mean, as we just said, with all these players get fit, there's not room for everybody. We're going to struggle to get Geldat in, I think, if he's fit, because it means the midfield is going to be one light if we play three up front and Geldat behind them, because he isn't really a midfielder. He could maybe do a job, but he isn't really a midfielder, I don't think. So, all these people, they have the worth, and obviously it's whether we can cash in a little bit on him. And what we've seen this season, we haven't seen a lot of him, and when we have seen him, he hasn't been brilliant by any stretch of the imagination. So I can't imagine anybody rushing in to get him. We might be able to put him out on loan somewhere, to Turkey or somewhere like that. But I don't know if anybody will come in massively to get him, because he hasn't showed a great deal, and he hasn't had a great deal of time to show. And obviously, from what Chris said, the manager don't fancy him. Obviously, they're going to look at that. Why hasn't he played as well? So I don't know if I don't mind him going, but I just don't know who'll come for him, to be quite honest.
No, it's a really good question, and I don't know who'll come for him either. We'll go back to Saturday's game. Charlie Hughes got a massive cut on his forehead, needed a few stitches, is what Sergey said on his interview yesterday, but he said he'll be fine for the Boxing Day clash. It was a bit of a bad cut, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, from what I've seen on the pictures on social media, it's right above his eyebrow, isn't it? There, we played with a bit of the Terry Butcher sort of vibe going on, didn't they? But I think in the interview said it was 6 stitches. So my only worry is, he's probably going to have to play with, with a bandage on again. It's obviously still going to be quite sore and fresh.
It was a little bit when it first happened. He was reluctant to head the ball. He was trying to kick it more than headed it, and then he changed in the second half, sort of came back out, headed it a bit more, which made him better, because I thought at half-time take him off because he wasn't heading the ball, but he did come back out the second half and headed it, and as you saw, at the end of the game, he's got a little bit of blood down his face because it was a Terry Butcher look, wasn't it? Yeah,
well, that's the worry, that if he's heading it and any sort of crosses with any pace on it, it could sort of, if he catches it right square on there, it could reopen the wound. But I'm sure they'll do everything they can precautionary. But again, what another warrior we've got in the squad that, despite that, he didn't want to come off and play on. So I think that was the term they used.
A little bit light in the centre-back position with Shemi Ajayi going out to the Africa Cup of Nations. We've obviously at the moment got, the 2 first choices, which will be Hughes and Egan. Famewo, right? Yeah. There you go. Famewo, he's there. I think Drame is still injured at the moment. Am I right in that? Or has somebody seen something that I've not?
He apparently came back. He had a chance of being in the squad at the weekend. He trained last week, so I imagine he'll be in the squad on Boxing Day.
So he could be in the squad, because that then allows Louis Coyle probably to drop into centre if we needed him to, because that's what you're looking at the moment. You're looking at the permutations that could be going on to cover the centre back position until we get Shemi Ajayi back from the Africa Cup of Nations, or until the January transfer window opens and we maybe sign somebody new. Obviously, there's Cathal McCarthy, who can come in and do a job as well, isn't there? So it's difficult. I saw him warming up on Saturday, and I thought he might end up coming on the pitch, James, but he didn't quite end up on there.
No, is that McCarthy you're on about? Yeah. No, I think it's, I can imagine him coming on in a game where, I mean, how many times we're going to see a game where we're going to be absolutely battering someone this season? I don't know, and whether or not we can hold on to a game like that.
There's a cup game coming up though, James, that he could play in.
Yeah, that'd be the time to play him, wouldn't it? I think a few of them youngsters are going to need to run out in the first team squad, because the cup game is coming right in the middle of that sort of chock of 10 days of games we've got in the Championship. So at the moment, the position we're in, I think it's going to be really difficult to be, throwing players in the deep end in these sorts of games. It's a really hard division to come straight into. I know he has already played for us, but it was in, I think he played just in front of the defence, didn't he? And he seemed to struggle in the game that was in. So, I think, did he play against Blackburn? Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
So throwing him in the deep end in these games where they're coming thick and fast at the moment is, it's going to need to be the right sort of game for him. I think it's going to be too risky because you can knock a young player's confidence so easily by throwing him into a game if they make a mistake and it leads to a goal or anything like that, especially defenders, So, out of the options we've got, when Firmino's come on the pitch, I thought he's done a really good job, to be honest. We've seen games out making us more solid at the back, giving Ryan Giles a little rest when he's, worked his socks off through the game, and especially that's defensively and going forward. So I don't think we're short on defensive options. I do just think if we do suffer another injury in that department, maybe that's why we need to look at that extra cover in the January window.
Yeah, this is probably the area of the pitch that we are most short on at the moment, I would think, is centre-back. And, especially with Adey being out at the Africa Cup of Nations, I think when he comes back, then it's a different story at that point. And that's why, I suppose, it's one of them fine lines of whether you do sign somebody or you don't, because it all depends on how long they're lasting the Africa Cup of Nations. I think you were saying, Paul, that you think they'll get right through to about the semis, didn't you?
I think they're one of the top teams in that part of the world, aren't they? So, they can get knocked out. Nobody's guaranteed to get through, either. But I think they are one of the top teams, so I could see them getting quite far. I don't know if Shemi will be in every game, but he could
still
get an injury
out there, even if he don't get a game, isn't he?
He could get an injury as well, couldn't he? Playing so, you don't know. Is it worth a punt? I think Firmino might be a good follow up. He hasn't let us down in any game he's played. I don't think he maybe wasn't brilliant at full back, but I think he had a pacey winger up against him. But I don't think he's let us down genuinely. He looks reasonably solid.
I think he looks like a solid player, to be honest.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he's the answer if anything happens.
He's been a bit unlucky as well, hasn't he? Really?
Yeah, he has. Yeah. Well, he's a young lad.
Not to get a chance as yet. He's been a bit unlucky at that, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, we've got two experienced centre backs in, haven't we? In Ajayi and Egan. I know Egan was here back end of last year, but we've got them two. So he's probably always going to be behind both of them. So I don't think he's done bad when he's come on. So I wouldn't have any worries about him playing if he had to play in any of the games at the moment. He seems quite a fit lad, and I don't think he's done anything majorly wrong. So I had to worry. If we want to get another centre back, yeah, we could do. But as I say, if we get Ajayi back and the ones we've already got, they're going to be chomping at the bit to play. Maybe not get a chance, because I think what we could do with myself is a decent cup run. I think that wouldn't harm us to have, a cup run to give some of these players who get very little chance a chance to play, like McCarthy and Firmino and people like that, where they can have a game or two. And if, hopefully we'll get through a couple of rounds, 3 rounds of the cup. I don't think it would be a bad thing to give these players a chance.
Firmino was 27. I didn't realise he was that old, but yeah, 27 he is. I suppose for a defender, it's still pretty. It's the time where you're sort of coming into your own, apparently, as a defender. I would think it's that age. So hopefully we've just got him at the right time. So some 2 big games coming up before we have another Tiger Talk here on Humwave Radio and Tell Them Back podcast. We've got this game on Boxing Day, Chef Wednesday away. I'm slightly worried about it. Is that the wrong thing to say, James?
I want to caveat what I'm about to say with the fact that nothing is ever guaranteed in the Championship, and
nothing is ever guaranteed.
Yeah, but I think us as fans should maybe be going into expectation that we win this game. I mean, you on the surface of things, that's what you'd like to think. Now, you're not the first person I've heard say this could absolutely be a banana skin for us. I mean, Chef Wednesday have not won at home all season.
It worries me that
there's a certain saying that our fan base likes to use in these kind of situations, as we all know. So I think whether or not typical City show up for this game, well, it's one of them, isn't it? Because we've been a lot better this season. I think we have defied the odds. We've won, I think, a couple of times now when we've come back from international breaks. When teams have been due a win, like Sheffield United were, after they'd been on an horrible run, we still managed to beat them. West Brom have just come to us. They was on a 7-game away losing streak. You'd think that would be a typical City moment. So maybe we're breaking the case a little bit this season. And I think, from what I've seen on Twitter, they've got a hell of a lot of players out for this game, an absolutely hell of a lot of players. I think their midfield has been absolutely decimated. So I'm fairly certain next to Liam Cooper, they're having 2 debutant centre-backs playing against us. So whether or not they'll actually be able to cope with the level of attackers we're going to be playing. I mean, I don't know whether or not he's going to go with our sort of full stretch attack for this game, given the fact we've got Middlesbrough straight after him. We're going to need our top team for that game. So whether or not this is the game where Sergei thinks, okay, we can maybe rest some of the players and, we won't need our biggest star quality on the pitch to beat Wednesday. Maybe that'll be our undoing, but that's the way I can see it going personally.
It's that situation, as you say, when they haven't won at home all season, I always worry about little things that come out like that. So that does worry me a little bit. And as much as I know the bottom of the league, they've got the points deducted, we should definitely be going there and beating them. I still worry about it. And if we got a draw, I wouldn't be sad with a draw as long as we don't lose, Chris.
Yeah, similar. It is that potential banana skin. The extra sort of impetus is the fact that it's a Yorkshire derby. So their fans are going to be right at it. I know we're taking a good following. I did see something.
Sellout, isn't it, for Hull City?
I believe so, yeah. No, I saw something, I think it was on Twitter the other day, saying I think they've only got 13 or 14 of their first team squad fit for this game. So backing up what James was saying. So there's going to be, academy players, youngsters, unproven players, not necessarily in the first 11. There might have to be a bit of, square holes in round pegs or whatever the saying is. Pegs in holes, even, the other way around. But yeah, there's going to be a bit of an experience there. Players tiring, if they're not necessarily wanting to bring these young players on, so towards the end of the game. So as much as I think it is a game where, you would back Sergei to rotate rather than over Middlesbrough, I think this is one where he will, but I just hope he does it sensibly. Like you say, he doesn't take all the front three off to start with. He maybe plays one with a view to taking them off after 60 minutes. Maybe, Miller or Bloomy comes on at half-time or something like that. McBurney gets 60 minutes and get Destin or Joseph on or whatever, or depending on who he starts. But, yeah, I think he's got, I think from a fan's point of view, this is the license to say, yeah, let's rotate, let's get other players in there, knowing these other players are going to be on the bench to, if it isn't going as sweetly as we'd like, he can maybe come on and change the game towards the end. But yeah, like I say, as long as we don't lose, then you're kind of going to be happy with that. And you could draw and fixtures elsewhere going our way as well. So as long as we don't lose, I think you've got to be happy with that.
So, Paul, are you going for a full-strength squad, trying to get 4-0 up by half-time and then relaxing, or are you going to rotate a little bit and just take it easy and try and let the boys save a bit of energy for Middlesbrough?
Personally, I'd probably go with a pretty strong team. I think you've got to be professional and make sure you get the points if you can. Sheffield Wednesday have had a couple, they haven't won, I think they've won one game or something after this season. They've had a couple of draws, what you didn't expect and things like that. And a draw ain't a bad result, but, why not go for the 3 points? It's about being professional.
They've won one, drawn 4. They've won one, drawn 6 and lost 14.
Yeah, there was a darts match last night and he was getting well hammered. And the other fella, he said I had to be professional. He didn't want to whitewash him, but he wanted to be professional and get through. And that's what we've got to be, is professional. I don't say put the full strength team up, but a strong team that is going to make sure they win the game as much as they can. Because, to be fair, the 3 points on offer, aren't they? If there's ever 3 points on offer in the Championship, this is one of the games, I would say. Because, as you say, they've got half, not half the team out, probably 13 players or 14 isn't many of a squad, what you'd normally have 20 odd players, wouldn't you? So they're well down. the confidence can't be very high. They know they're down this season. There's no way they're going to get out of it. So it's the type of match where you should be looking for 3 points, I think. Obviously, if we only get a point, we only get a point. It's not the end of the world. But I think we should send out a reasonably strong team. I'm not saying the strongest, but a reasonably strong team. Maybe go 2 or 3-0 if we can, and then bring on some of the other players when we've won the game, rather than go. And we've seen it before, haven't we? The cup matches when the top teams send out half a team, or not even that, and the other team turn them over. We don't really want to be losing. And, if they get a goal against us, who's to say we're going to come back? And bringing players on late doesn't always work when you need the goal. It can do, but it's forced to. I just think win the game early, take them off, and then relax a little bit after that. Because we have got a big game against Middlesbrough, but that'll be a very hard game, no matter who we put out, won't it? The way they played here, and they're a decent team, especially at home. So you're not going to get any easy game at Middlesbrough, whoever you put out. So I think
always a bit of
points on.
Always a bit of a bogey place to go for us, is Middlesbrough. It's always a tough one, is Middlesbrough. We've had some good nights down at Chef Wednesday down at Hillsborough. We've managed to win some games there. I've seen us win a few games there, and I've enjoyed every time we go there and do it. I'd love for us to be able to do it on Boxing Day as well. I think it's a question for Sergey. He's given Christmas Day off, hoping that they don't have too much turkey and too many sherries with the Christmas dinner. He's obviously trusting him a little bit, Chris, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think it's the right thing to do, isn't it? It's about family, and I've heard some of his interviews on the radio when he said the whole of December's about eating and drinking. So, yeah, I think, he's got some. Most of the squad are younger than I am, or all of them, with young families. And like you say, I think if they train well, between Monday and Christmas Eve, give them Christmas Day off. They won't go mad. They're all professional in this day and age. So, then they turn up. It's the different side of it, isn't it? Rather than an extra day's training, it's that happiness and keeping the morale and sort of togetherness there by having Christmas Day off.
Always two ways to look at it, James, isn't there? You can say, you're giving them morale, you're making them happy. But then if they do have too many mince pies, then you're thinking, God, I should have kept them in training.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's a risk you've got to take, isn't it? And I think it's Christmas. It's one of them holidays where I think it would be really harsh and a bit unfair on the players and their families, respectively, to take that day away from them, especially if they want to see their kids. A lot of them have got young kids as well, so I think they'll be expecting to see the dad's face on Christmas morning whilst they're opening their inevitable presents. So no, I think it's a good thing he's let him off. To be honest, it's I'm like Chris. I'm sure they'll all be well behaved. I know they've got a match the next day, and it's an important game for us, especially because of the position we're in. And as Paul was saying, it's one of them where you really want to go there for the 3 points. And if there ever was low-hanging fruit in the Championship, it's got to be Sheffield Wednesday at this moment in time.
I think Sergey would have to have me in for training on Christmas Day, because otherwise I'd be in trouble, because, I definitely have too many mince pies and too much turkey. And then pigs in blankets are crying out as well, aren't they? So, it's one of them, innit? Adey, you can have Christmas Day off. Get in, Sergey, I'm going to go mad. A little bit like that. But, they are professionals. They're on a little bit more money than I am, so you never know. They might just decide to be good on Christmas Day, and then pigs in blankets, they might only have one each instead of the 6. It's something like that. But yes, let's hope they enjoy Christmas Day, and let's hope all the kids get all the presents that they want, and all the families have a nice time. And as you say, there's a lot of them with young families, and heard Liam Miller's interview, and he's got a young family at the moment. So Christmas is a massive thing, and I'm sure that they'll all enjoy having that extra day off. And as you say, he's got them in training Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, having Thursday off. He's just part of football, really. It's just because it's Christmas Day, it's a little bit of a different day. It's his Christmas Eve when you're watching us. If you're watching us live or on the podcast, we've recorded it the night before because we couldn't be bothered to be here on Christmas Eve. But if you are watching us, then thanks very much for tuning in. Merry Christmas to you. Hope you have a great Christmas. Let's hope for 3 points away at Sheffield Wednesday. Tomorrow, 3 o'clock kickoff. And, I know it's a sellout crowd going, so there'll be lots of people having a few beverages down at Sheffield and going into the ground and being merry and hopefully singing the full game through and seeing us through for 3 points. And then on to Middlesbrough on Monday. And as we said, we've only played them a couple of weeks ago. It was when I look at our form table, we've won 4 of the last 5 games. That Middlesbrough was the blip in between. We're hoping the same ain't going to happen again, Paul.
I think it was just. I think it was just one of them games. They did take the chances well. First goal was a bit lucky. It bounced to him. He took it. A couple of good shots, and there was just, we just didn't seem to be at it, and things fell a little bit away from us. We didn't seem to play that well in the whole game. A bit better second half, but 4-0 up. Are they taking the foot off the gas? Probably. So it's a funny sort of game, and we probably was due one of them games because we had got away with it on a few games prior to that. So you couldn't really complain at one team taking the chances that they did take. I know that they're a good team, but I don't think they're that good in the sense of going to hammer us again 4-0. I think if we've got our players out up and ready
we've scored more goals than they have, Paul, this season. They've scored 33 goals. 4 of them was against us, and we've scored 37 goals.
Yeah, I said they're a good team, but I don't think, I wouldn't expect another 4-0, let's put it that way. I think we can give them a game. Whether we can get anything out of it, I would take a draw and not turn up quite happily. But, it's going to be a tough game. They're obviously looking at top 2, and they've got a good chance of getting in there. But they've done it other years, haven't they? They've played, done really well, been near the top of the table, then at some stage seem to blow it. And they've done it a few times. I mean, under Carrick, I think they did 2 or 3 times where they was doing really well and they slipped down. So, I think they have a good team, but I don't think they're that good. And I wouldn't expect the same sort of scoreline personally. I think it'll be a lot closer game. And I would hope we can come out of it with at least a point. But it'll be a tough game, as they all should be in the Championship. There shouldn't be any easy games.
Will be a tough game. I've been there. I've seen us lose a couple of times. I've seen us draw. I've seen an Andy Dawson absolute worldie of a free kick going in, and we're still. I think we lost that game 4-3 when Andy Dawson scored that free kick. I was behind the goal when he put it in, and we went wild because I think we was drawing at that point 3-3, and I'm sure we lost that 4-3. I think it was a cup game if I remember rightly. And yes, so my debate is whether I go to Middlesbrough on Monday. I am debating it. Not sure yet. I'm not sure if there's even any tickets left yet because I haven't checked. But if I do decide to go, then I might end up there and watching the game. But it is a tough place to go, Chris.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to differ from Paul. I think.
Oh, he's not liking you tonight, is he?
No, obviously not.
No, don't get me wrong. I like Paul. I've just got a different opinion to him. No, from all the games I've seen this year, I do agree with Paul in the fact that they were a little bit lucky. Out of the 4 goals, I think 2 of them it was lucky, hit a player and fell to their players' feet for goals. But I know I think they had, was it 4 shots on target and only 6 shots on goal all game or something. So, but they were very clinical. But I think it was their approach play that really worried me in that game. I'm going to go as far as say I think they've been the team that have impressed me the most this season that we've played against. I know we've only played Leicester once and it was 0-0 and stuff, but yeah, I think they've got some really dangerous players. The build-up play was really good. Like I say, on another day they could have crafted more shot opportunities. And like you say, Paul, they probably did ease off in the second half, having a 4-0 cushion. So, yeah, and again, it is a tough league. Sergei's not going to let him go out and let that happen again. I think this is one game where he'll crack the whip, go out and really sort of try and set the record. We don't normally have, go out for revenge, so to speak, but I think this is one game where we need to go and at least put on a performance and show that we're not a team that lets in four goals in 45 minutes too often. So I think we'll go there and it will be a very professional performance. Hopefully we take some out of the game, but like I say, I do think they're a very dangerous team.
that squad rotation that we've talked about on the pod most of the night tonight, James, is going to come into action there, isn't it? Because this a 3-day turnaround for these 2 games, playing on Friday and then we're playing again on Monday. It'll just be basically getting the players in, doing a little bit of warming up, and not a lot else for them in those days, won't it?
Yeah, at the end of the day, when you've played a game in such close proximity, you can't really do a lot in training, can you? You don't want to be risking and pulling any more muscles or anything like that in training, like we've already suffered with this season. So I'm sure the training session will just be a light one, going over the tactical game plan, and like you say, just how we can limit Middlesbrough from scoring so many goals against us like the previous time. I think a lot of it is going to come down to the level of control we have in midfield, which we didn't seem to have any of in the previous game. So, but we're conceding a lot less goals now than we have done since then. And I think Kim Hjelberg, who we've just brought in, he did seem to have a bit of a new manager bounce, whether or not that has ended as such. But I know Bristol City have just beat them 2-0. So we can see that as they are a beatable team. We know what we are on our best, and as Chris and Paul were saying, when we are at our best, we can give them a really good game. And I think, if anything, we probably will be going there to set the record straight. We need to be able to show that these teams that are at the top of the table, we're not just here swang about for a little bit and fall off in the second half of the season. We're going to be here to try and stay and be in this promotion battle this season. And I think there's only 5 points between us and Middlesbrough at the moment. If we manage to get even a point, or if we manage to somehow win that game, you're closing that gap on the top 2, and then we can start talking about automatic promotion. Maybe, I mean, it's maybe a little bit too early to be talking about either prospect at the moment still, but anything can happen at that point when you're taking points off one of the top 2 teams.
Only lost 7 games this season, Hull City. Two of those, one was against Ipswich, one was against Middlesbrough, who were both above us. We've obviously drawn against Coventry, who were, above us as well. But, when you're losing to the teams that are above you, it just goes to show that you're sort of at a reasonable level, and you're sort of nearly at the level of those teams. I think, there's been times where, as you say, I mean, first half against Middlesbrough, they had a couple of lucky goals, I think. And I think that put us under the cosh a little bit. We did have a chance before they went and scored to score, and we didn't take that chance. And I think if we take that chance, then it could be a different game. And you've got to hope that going there on Monday night, we can maybe settle the nerves early by getting an early goal. And then, they're going to be slightly under the cosh because they get a good support at the Riverside. And obviously, if you do score against them, then that support might go a little bit quiet. And that'd be the thing I think to do, is to try and quieten their support down, where we'll be taking a lot there with us again. I've seen that they've opened extra sections for Hull City fans on Monday. So there's a lot of supporters going again to back the players. So it is that thing. If you can get, the crowd will sing all game, but if you can get the away crowd really going as a team, then, they do out-sing the home crowd a lot of the time. We found that quite a bit at the MKM Stadium this year, Paul.
Oh, yeah, they have the West. Well, the West supporters come for a day out, don't they, and enjoy the game. Probably, like most people, will be thinking, well, if we get a draw, we're all right. Like, we'll hopefully sneak a win or something like that.
Pressure's off a bit away from home, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit easier feelings. And I think that nowadays in football, there's a lot of away teams winning. Years ago, it was more or less home bankers a lot of the time. But, even when the teams are going to, Liverpool, Man United, or places like that, they aren't too frightened, these teams in the Premiership anymore. So I think it goes down the leagues as well. There's a lot of teams winning away from home. I think the first 20 minutes, if you can keep things quiet, then the other team get a bit jittery, the supporters get a bit quiet, and you can. But I just think, I don't think there's a lot in the 2 teams. We didn't have a particularly strong team out that day. I think is it Hayden Hackney, their midfielder? I think he ran the game. So if we can get somebody on him, we could easily stop the supply. I know they've got some other decent players. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're a 4-1 team against us. Let's put it that way. I think they just had a really good night. We didn't particularly play well. I think if we put our best foot forward, we can give them a good game. I don't see any reason why we can't. And I'm sure they're going to be frightened of Balumi and Miller. I mean, Balumi must frighten most fullbacks. the way he twists and turns, and he's so good on the ball. And obviously, we didn't have McBurney then, did we? So, I think it'll be a different game. I think we've got a chance, but if we get beat, we get beat. They're doing well at Middlesbrough, and they've done well other seasons. So it's not going to be a walk in the park. But I don't think it's going to be a walk into the park for them neither.
No, I agree with you. I think it'll be a different game. I think there's different. I agree with you that there's different players that are coming in. Baloumi's obviously getting a bit more fitness now. Miller's obviously getting a bit more fitness. He seems to be quite happy. Does Liam Miller? You listen to his interview. He sounds really happy, and he's happy that him and Mo are playing on opposite wings at the moment. And let's hope that we can keep these players fit for the game on Monday night, and they're ready and raring to go, and we can put our best 11 out against Middlesbrough to give them a good battle. And a win would be great, but I'd be very, very happy with a point, without even going there, to be quite honest with you, because as we say, fourth in the table, 37 points at this moment in time. You'll be saying this, Paul, and I'll say it now before you do. Only another 13 points and you're safe.
Yeah, the safe 50 points is normally a safety valve. So I want us to get to that as quickly as possible. And then we can sort of kick on, especially with the players we've got looking to come back, like your Lundstroms, Geldart, Matazos. If we can get them in and keep the other players fit, I know it's a big if, but if we can, there's no reason once you get to 50 points, you can't just take off the shackles and have a right go at every team. And think, well, this season was looking at staying in the division. Now we're maybe looking at getting out upwards. I don't know. I mean, now a bit like James, I think.
Sorry,
we should be looking at. I think we should be looking to try and get automatic promotion at the moment, because we're in that block, and then we've had not a strong team up for most of the season. I think things can only get better for City. I might be wrong. We maybe nosedive end of the season, but I think we've got a stronger team coming through than we've had over the last 3 or 4 months.
Matazo and Geldart supposedly both back around about the middle of January. To the end of January is what I heard from Sergei's press conference. It'd be good to see those two get back, and maybe a little bit. How am I going to word this? Joe Geldart being injured at the beginning of January might not be a bad thing for Hull City, because of obviously the interest of him maybe going somewhere else or something like that. Am I right in saying that, James? You're nodding your head.
Yeah, well, supposedly, according to our local journal, he said that there's a clause in his loan to us that only, I think, is it the first week or so of the transfer window where Leeds have got the recall clause on him. So if he's still out injured in that time period, is it going to be a case of, they're going to say either just let him stay there, get him back fit, and I guess we'll look at it in the summer for his transfer.
So he might get back second week of January is what we're thinking then, James, yeah?
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. I mean, you never know with these kind of things, do you? But I mean, let's just keep that one on the nose, I say.
I think so too. It's been a good Tigers talk tonight. We'll be back on Wednesday, which is the New Year's Eve, isn't it? I think, unfortunately, it will be another pre-record, because I'm sure most of us will be doing something on New Year's Eve. But it'd be good to talk about the Middlesbrough game. It'd be good to also talk about the game against Sheff Wednesday, and then preview the game on New Year's Day, which is a home game. So we'll preview that on the next Tigers talk. Who's it against on the fest? We've got that many games coming up.
Stoke, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
Stoke.
No, I think it's the cup game into a cup game after that.
No, Stoke, then Watford, then the
Stoke,
cup game,
then Watford, then it's the cup game the week after. Which have they announced what day that cup game is yet?
Looks like
Sunday,
I think it's a Sunday, isn't it?
Is it a Sunday the 11th? Is it? I think tickets might be just going on sale for that cup game. But yeah, we will be back, as I say, next Wednesday, which is the 31st. If you don't watch us live, we understand, but please watch it back, and we'll be talking and trying to give our views on what we think's been happening on the game against Sheff Wednesday and against Middlesbrough, and obviously previewing that game against Stoke, which is at home on New Year's Day. We'll even preview, I think, the next game, which is the Sunday at home against Watford. So 2 games there for us to preview. We are in association with the carmustgo.co.uk.
Looking to buy or sell your next car or van? At thecarmustgo.co.uk, we make it easy. We are proud to be your trusted local whole business with 5-star Google reviews from happy customers across East Yorkshire. We buy and sell quality cars and vans, all with a full mechanical check, MOT and warranty included. So call in and see us today at Rugby Street in Hull, or visit us online at thecarmustgo.co.uk. We buy, we sell cars and vans.
Thanks to the carmustgo.co.uk for sponsoring the show. Really good of them. Thanks to you for coming on tonight, James.
Cheers, Adey.
Have a great Christmas.
And yourself.
Thanks to you, Chris, for coming on as well.
No problem. Thanks for having us again, and Merry Christmas again.
Merry Christmas. And Merry Christmas to you, Paul. I'll see you later.
Yeah, you will, yeah.
All the best,
You
lads.
definitely will, yeah.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye.